Shalom, my name is Adam Wasserman from Crown Heights, Brooklyn, New York. On the occasion of Tisha B'Av, uh, the ninth of Av, we remember the destruction of the first and second temples, which were both destroyed on the ninth of Av. Av being the Hebrew month, and the ninth being the Hebrew day, which usually falls in the middle of the summer. This day is a tragedy for the Jewish people because for some reason a lot of things happen bad to the Jewish people on this day. For example, the Warsaw uprisings where Jews and Poles fought in the ghettos of Warsaw against the Nazis ended on this day with the Nazis defeating the Poles and the Jews, eliminating all the Jews from Warsaw. The Spanish Inquisition of 1492, this day, the ninth of Av, was the day that all the Jews were expelled from Spain. They had to leave on this day. Other events happened on the ninth of Av, Tisha B'Av, that were very tragic, but these are the main events that happened to the Jewish people. You have to consider the fact that on Tisha B'Av, this is the day the temple is destroyed. Imagine yourself, a Jew trapped in the temple with the first one, the Byzantines surrounding you. Everything's in fire and blaze and smoke everywhere. Women are eating their own children because of the starvation, because of the siege of Jerusalem, and the same thing similar happened with the Romans' siege and the destruction of the Second Temple, where people were starving and disease was rampant. And back then, Tisha B'Av maybe was a lot more meaningful than it is today because it was so relevant. But today we still commemorate this day, not as a festival or a holiday, but a day of fasting. We fast from sunset to sunset, over 24 hours of fasting. It is close to comparing it to Yom Kippur. It's not like Yom Kippur, but it is one of the major fasts of the Jewish people. And it's a day where we don't learn Torah. It is such a sad and remorseful time that we don't learn. You're allowed to learn about the destruction of the temples of Jerusalem, but no other kind of learning like Gemara, Mishnah, or Parsha. We reserve this day either not to learn at all or to learn about the destruction of the temples. Jews will, it's traditional, you don't have to, but it's traditional to sit on the floor, and you don't take showers, you don't brush your teeth. A lot of people don't talk to people, they keep a very solemn profile. And the idea behind this is that in Judaism, when somebody dies, the funeral, somebody that dies, you have to bury them before the sun goes down. So if they die an hour before the sun goes down, you have to bury them within the hour. And you find the funeral home that people are sitting on the floor, and the person, the wife, the husband, God forbid, or the close relatives, for 7 days they will mourn and be on the floor. A lot of them don't even sleep on the bed, and they don't see visitors. So we're acting on the Tisha B'Av like this kind of idea of all the people that died. Tisha B'Av is not just about the destruction of the temples, which are great and tragic. It's also about the loss of life, the hundreds of thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of people that died because they were Jews on this day. I love being a Jew. It's wonderful. Thank God. Every day I thank God that I was born a Jew. And it's not so much of a pride thing, but an identity that who I am and where I come from, and I can connect with the temples and the Jews that lived during that time, the Jews of Har Sinai. A lot of Jews will make a joke, oh, I saw you at Har Sinai, how you doing? And that there is a strong connection there, and it's very powerful. And I love that, and I love being a part of a people that are so strong in family, that we are family. And I call the Jewish people a race of people because we are one family. We are a group of people. I'm white, but I don't consider myself white. I consider myself a Jew. So, and the same thing if you're black. You're black, your skin's black, but you're a Jew first. So today, the Tisha B'Av is very powerful because we're mourning the death of our own family, our own sisters and brothers and children and so forth, as well as the destruction of the temple and what happened in the 40s during the Holocaust and 1492 and other events that slipped my mind for a little while. But anyways, it is some people will say, why should I fast? I don't need to fast. I'm not into the fasting. Well, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Schneerson, he said a very interesting thing years ago, that a fast, coming from the Hasidic understanding of philosophy of Judaism, is that the fast is a way of renewal, is that you're cleansing your body. You're not taking things into your body, you're taking a time out period, so that once you start eating again, you're starting a new life. You're starting afresh. It's like a birthday. In Judaism, we believe that a birthday is the new birth, that every year your birthday comes, it's like you're being reborn again. So a fast is in the same way of a birthday, is that you're starting afresh. You're letting go of the past and you're moving on to a greater future. So Tisha B'Av, we're delving into the past and we're mourning on to the past, but tomorrow we will be, rejoicing and pushing towards the rebuilding of the third temple. Many people learn before Tisha B'Av about the rebuilding of the third temple. And this is an idea that, yes, be remorseful, but tomorrow we will rebuild. And the 15th of Av, which will be, the 15th day of Av, is a day of celebration, day of rejoicing. And this is very typical in Judaism. You have Rosh Hashanah, asking people to forgive you, Yom Kippur, begging God to forgive you, and then you have Sukkot and Simchas Torah, rejoicing and celebrating with the family. So it's a typical Jewish thing, be sad, but tomorrow we're going to rejoice. And that's how, in many ways, I look at this time, is that we got to remember, and we have to be unified, because if we're not unified and we're not together as one people, there's nothing to be happy about tomorrow, because we didn't accomplish anything today. If anything, Tisha B'Av should teach us, how did the temples get destroyed? Nebuchadnezzar physically destroyed the temples. The Romans physically destroyed the temples. But the Jewish people let them in. By the Jewish people going into a civil war after King Solomon's death and dividing the land of Israel, it allowed the Assyrians to take over northern Israel, and it allowed the Byzantines to take over Yehuda and then conquer Yerushalayim, and ultimately the Beit HaMikdash, the temple. So if we didn't fight, if we didn't go into our own civil war and bicker with one another, it would have never happened. And as well, with the Romans, there was a civil war about 150 years before the destruction of the Second Temple, because one king said, "Protect me, Rome, from my religious brother who's held up in the temple," and the Romans came in as a protector and obviously never left. And we brought them in. They didn't have to lift a sword to come in there. This week's Parsha is also about, it's in Devarim, that Moses, he's creating 3 cities of refuge in Yitzarach, I think it is. I just read it this morning, I forget the name. Anyways, he creates 3 cities of refuge in the Jordan, on the east side of the Jordan River. And it says, we can't do anything with these cities. They're just there. They've been established. But until Yeshua conquers the land of Israel on Canaan's side, these just are sitting there. So why would Moses do this? Well, it says in Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses wanted to fulfill the mitzvah, that it was a mitzvah to create these cities of refuge. There are 6 in all, 3 of them on one side of the Jordan, the other 3 on the other side of Jordan, and then he did this to fulfill the mitzvah in the fact that he could not enter into Eretz Yisrael, he couldn't enter into Israel because of the sin, the misunderstanding with the rock and the water. So therefore, he does this to fulfill the mitzvah, that if he can't enter into Israel, he makes sure that this mitzvah is done. Now, there's something that we learn in Chassidus that says, in everything in the world, every single thing, there's godliness. There is God's light. If there is not God in something, it does not exist. And even the word not exist has God in it. Everything has godliness. So how can evil have godliness in it? Well, evil has godliness in it because evil can be uplifted into goodness. It has the potential to be good. Now Moshe Rabbeinu, the sin was committed. He couldn't enter into the land of Canaan. So this was a bad thing. It was a unfortunate thing. And it says that Moshe Rabbeinu was the first Mashiach, the first Messiah of the world. So if he would have entered into Eretz Yisrael, he would have went and conquered Yerushalayim and built the first temple, and that temple would have been so strong that it would have brought on the Messianic year right then and then. So in a way, Moses had to not be able to go in because the world was not ready for the Messianic year. but if Moses would have been able to enter in, it would have started. Anyways, that's a different topic. So Moses is taking this sin of hitting the rock and not being entered into the land of Eretz Yisrael, and he's uplifting the sin. He's bringing into a godly way by creating these 3 cities of refuge, these Levite cities, because you can take a negative thing and make something good out of it. And for somebody, what do we learn from this? Is that you can say, oh my gosh, this is a horrible thing, this is a tragedy, how am I going to deal with it? But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's normal. But the next day, you must say, all right, this is the reality. How do I deal with it? How do I change it? Or how do I move on to the next step of a better position? And this is this week's idea in Devarim in the beginning, the second parsha, and with the ninth of Av, it's the same kind of thing. It's a horrible thing. It's over. It's done. We can't do anything. It's a tragedy. But tomorrow, especially with the 15th of Av, which was always a celebration, we can rejoice. We can celebrate. We can rebuild the third temple, the Beit Hamikdash. And it's a beautiful concept, and we should always keep that in mind. And we should always be uplifted by the idea that tomorrow is another day. Today is today. Tomorrow is something else. God bless everybody. And may we all be united and rejoice in the coming of the third Beis Hamikdash. But let's do it now. Let's not wait. Let's be unified. Let's work together, and let's make it happen. God bless everybody, and Mashiach now. Amen.